Hello guys, welcome to another segment of Flutter tutorials for beginners. In this tutorial, we'll be looking at state management in Flutter, the part 2 of it. Now let us get started. Okay guys, so we've actually explained state management in our previous video, so there will not be any need for us to actually do it over here. So if you've not actually watched our previous video, then please do. That is the part 1 of this tutorial, where we actually looked at state management. We actually explained it and also wrote some codes to also understand it better. But what I'm going to do, or what we are going to do in this tutorial, is we are going to look at the various state management solutions. All right, so there are several popular state management solutions available for Flutter, including the provider, the Bloc, that is the business logic component, and the Riverpod state management. All right, and each approach has its strengths and use cases. Okay, so choosing the right one depends on the various factors such as the complexity of your app, the personal preference, and the team familiarity. All right, so what we are going to do with this tutorial is we are going to actually take each and every one of them, and we'll leave it to ourselves for us to choose which one that we need for our project. All right, so let's look at the first one. So the first one we are going to look at is the provider state management. All right, so the provider is a simple and flexible state management solution, all right, that leverages the Flutter built-in inherited widget mechanism. All right, it is often praised for its ease of use and minimal setup. All right, so let's look at how it works. Okay, the provider uses a combination of inherited and change notifier to propagate the changes to the UI efficiently. All right, widgets can listen to the changes in the provided data and rebuild themselves when necessary. All right, and let's look at the use cases. Okay, let's look at the use cases. Okay, the provider is suitable for medium-sized applications, or when the state management requirements are relatively straightforward. All right, so it is actually ideal for managing local or global states that doesn't require complex business logic. All right, and the example, let's look at the example. All right, so suppose you have a shopping app where you need to manage the users shopping cart states across multiple screens. All right, so you can make use of the provider, that you can make use of the provider to provide the cart data to all relevant widgets and update it as an item are added or removed. Okay, yeah, so that is just that with the provider state management. All right, let's head over to look at the Bloc, that is the business logic component. The Bloc state management. All right, so Bloc is an architectural pattern for managing states in Flutter application. It actually separates presentation layer from business logic. All right, making it particularly suitable for complex applications with integrate state management requirements. All right, so now let's look at how it works. Okay, so Bloc uses streams and sinks to handle state changes. All right, and this involves creating separate classes to represent the state, events, and business logic responsible for transitioning between state based based on events. Okay, all right, and now let's look at the use cases. All right, Bloc is well suited for large scale application with complex UI and state management needs. And now let's look at the example. All right, so assuming you are building a social media app where users can post, like, and comment on content. All right, then using Bloc, you can manage the state for fetching posts. All right, handling user interactions and updating the UI accordingly. All right, so that is just that with Bloc. All right, now let's look at the river pod state management. So now the Riverpod state management. All right, so Riverpod is a Flutter state management library, all right, built on top of provider. All right, so it provides additional features and improvements over provider, such as dependency injection and improved testing capabilities. All right, so now let's look at how it works. All right, so Riverpod simplifies dependency management by allowing you to declare providers without using build context. All right, so it offers a more concise syntax and facilitates testability by decoupling widgets from the provider instances. All right, and now let's look at the use cases. Okay, and Riverpod is suitable for projects that require more robust dependency injection mechanism and improved testability compared to traditional provider. It's good choice for medium to large scale application with complex state management requirements. All right, and that let's talk about the example. All right, okay, so in instances where you are creating a weather app, all right, you might need to fetch data from an API and display it across different screens. All right, this is where Riverpod comes in. All right, you can use Riverpod to help manage the data dependencies efficiently and provide a clean way to access and update the weather information. All right, so now let's look at how you can choose the right approach. All right, or choosing the right approach for whatever project that you're actually working on. Okay, so choosing the right approach. All right, when selecting a state management approach for your Flutter app, consider the following. All right, and the first is the complexity of your app. All right, so for simple apps with minimal state management needs, provider surface. All right, okay. However, for larger and more complex applications, Bloc or Riverpod might be better. Might be a better fit due to their architectural patterns and support for handling complex data. All right, and the second one, let's look at team familiarity. All right, consider expertise and familiarity of your development team with each state management solutions. All right, and that's actually key. And the third one is probably scalability. All right, so think about the scalability of your application. If you anticipate significant growth and feature future feature additions, then choosing a scalable state management approach like Bloc or Riverpod can ensure better maintainability and extensibility over time. All right, and the final one we are going to talk about is the performance consideration. All right, so evaluate the performance implication of each state management solution, especially for large scale applications. All right, so choosing the right approach actually depends on all these things, the complexity of your app, the team familiarity, scalability, and all these will help you choose the rightful one for your project. All right, so guys, this is where we will bring everything to an end. All right, so guys, let me just drop in this. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for others to know what we are learning over here. See you in the next tutorial. Bye.